Hello, I'm making this video of homemade chili sauce for a friend of ours down at one of the local shops. She already tasted it and her husband wants to make it. So this is a guide for him. It's not a rule, I don't do recipes, but enjoy. Okay, last chili sauce of the season, and each batch of chili sauce, trust me, they will be different. These are medium chilies, so there's nothing really, there's a bit of heat in them, but not going to burn your tongue off. Got some garlic, some onions, going to use a bit of ginger, some tomato, which is all chopped up, a bit of olive oil to get the onions and garlic cooking, and some malt vinegar, and probably some other things as I go along, because there is no rules in making chili sauce. Now you could do these many ways, these chilies, but all I do is I actually just cut the top off with the seeds, and I cut them into, I don't know, half-inch lengths. Now the other way you can do, you can blitz all this chili. What I like to do is let this sweat, and by blitzing them you've got a more intense process, but with this it slowly will release all the heat that you need from it. And you can see all the seeds are still in there. But at the end, the cooking process, it gets strained, so there won't be any seeds in the sauce. Just let me keep going, only another couple of hundred to go. Just a little tip with chilies. The actual heat is always at the very top of the chili here. And as you come down, it's milder. So to get an understanding how hot the chili sauce will be, just cut the top off, and yes, just taste the end. Take a 30-second process for it to kick in. Yeah, so these have got a little bit of heat. This is for me talking, I like heat. And it's slowly building, which is what I like. And I've got to be honest with you, probably out of my scale of 10, it's probably 4, maybe 5. But that's how I do it. Like I say, the heat is up the top of the chili. If you took a piece down the bottom and chomped on that, and then a piece from the top, they would be different in Scoville temperature. That's for the nerds out there who wanted to know. All right, just heating some olive oil in the pan, putting the onions in. Now we don't want to burn these. Again, onions in the sauce will just be the flavour really. Saute for a while. This is all my chili and ginger that I've cut up. Mixing that in. Oh, smell of that straight away. Woohoo! Onions, garlic, ginger. Right now this dish could head into an Asian type meal, but it's going to be chili sauce. Now I've cut all these chilies up. When you can see that the onion starts soaking up some of the oil that's in it, just put a bit of water. You don't need to add a lot of oil. Again, we're just after the flavour of these onions throughout the sauce. There's all the chilies I cut up. It's probably, grams is probably 400. So I generally match the amount of chilies that I put tomato in. So put these in a sec, because what I want these to do is sweat. It's a lot of chilies and lots of seeds in there, but like I say, there's no panic on this, because what we're going to do is strain the product at the end. I'm going to put the lid on this for about 10 minutes just so it starts to loosen up and soften, and then like I say, the process of cooking the sauce is probably about an hour to an hour and a half, so there's no rush. We'll come back shortly. It's been about 5 minutes, and I can see that the process of sweating is starting to happen. It's a slow process, like I say, there is no rush. So when you do these things, like I say, just take your time. I'm actually cooking in a big wide back rack, casserole dish. Normally I'd use a fairly deep pot. People said they can't see what I do all the time. So there you go. That's the only reason I'm doing it. Normally, big pot. You can see the temperature's not high. It's probably on about low medium. What I will do now, you do this at probably another stage, half an hour down the road, but what I like to put in there is a little bit of brown sugar. So brown raw sugar. I'll show you before I put it in. Just like that. Okay, so it's probably the sugar you might use to make cake. So there's 1 teaspoon, 2 teaspoons. I don't think we'll need any more. Like every sauce you make, later on in the cooking process, if it needs something, you can add to it. Now I do like, even though some people don't, I'll put some ground black pepper. These are all flavour layers. That's what the process is. And again, like I say, this gets blitzed at the end. You just end up with a sauce. Mix all that in. So it's not a pool. I can smell the chili. Like I say, the taste I had earlier, probably a 5, I reckon. It lingered for a little while, which is what I like. So you can get hotter chilies. I've made a lot hotter chili sauces this year from out of the garden. But this is just one process. Like I say, if you think it's getting a bit low on liquid, add a little bit of water, not much. We're just keeping it with enough moisture in there so it can sweat. Right. Let's put the lid on. Go and have a cup of tea. Come back in about 15 minutes. Alright, we're about 10 minutes further down. Let's see if I put it. Put the fumes. Be careful when you're cooking chili sauce, trust me. Can overwhelm you if it's a hot chili. This is not too bad. Now, just getting soft, which I like. Now I'm going to add, probably going to be about half a cup to a cup of malt vinegar. This is part of the process for preserving your sauce. It's probably 3/4 of a cup. Just mix it in. Yum. Smell of malt vinegar. Delicious. Okay. Give this about another 15 minutes before I put the tomato pulp in there. So put the lid on. Gonna have another cup of tea. It's been 10 minutes, 12, something like that, I don't know. You can see the process of how those onions have sweated, and also the chili. It's hot enough chili for me not to stick my head over the pan. It's getting nice and soft now, but there's a long way to go. Now I'm going to add in these, you get any brand you like. This is basically just chopped very fine, pulverised really, tomato. There's probably more reason why I add the sugar, though the sugar also helps with the preserving side of things, but sometimes tomatoes can be quite tart, bitter, I don't know how you describe it. By doing that little bit of sugar, it also cuts back any sort of bitterness of tomatoes. During summer, where I've made lots of my chili sauce, I'll just show you some. If I can get to them. I've got some that are made in January, some made in other months. This is my last batch that I did. This is pimento and chili, which I grew my own pimento capsicum. So sweet, beautiful. So, but you can add things to your chili sauces. You don't need tomatoes in there if you don't want to. You can make fermented chili sauce. There's a video somewhere that I've done I could show you, but trust me, there are many ways to skin a cat. So now, even though there's a bit of liquid there, I'm just going to add a touch more water. Probably just a touch more vinegar, because I'm used to the smell of what's in there. It probably adds a little bit more acid in there. tablespoons I put in. And we're going to cook this very slowly now, quite a long time. And the consistency of the chilies will change and start to collapse. Even at this stage, I can get a sneaky taste. Yum, it's delicious. In fact, I'm going to put, you don't have to, you're the master of your chili sauce. Just going to put a little bit of honey, probably about 2 tablespoons, I suppose. Will do. Again, another layer of flavour to your sauce. Is there any hard and fast, I'm getting the fumes, any hard and fast rules about cooking in general or making sauces? No, there are not. I don't do recipes, I apologise. The closest thing you get to knowing how I cook is by watching the videos I do. Right, that's got enough liquid in there. I'll turn it down to really low. I'll be back in about 25 minutes, maybe 30 minutes to check on it. We'll see you then. Just showing you how I simmer and how low it is. That's all I'm doing. Gentle simmer. Okay, back in about 20 minutes. Okay. Oh, fumes. They're strong. So this is probably another 15 minutes down the track. Well, it's going to come back in half an hour, but I want to show you how they start to slowly break down. That's what's happening. There's enough liquid in there I'm happy with. Again, it's a very slow simmer. I will taste it at my own peril. It's tasting good. Right, now we'll come back in about 20 minutes. It's been another 20 minutes since I was here. I can show you that see they're collapsing, chilies. I'm going to give it another 15 or 20 minutes and I will be done, I think. Oh, what I did do, I didn't show you. Apologies, I put in half a cup of tomato sauce, just because I want that viscosity. It's a balancing trick. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. This time I did. You see it's still quite loose, because it's going to cook a bit longer, maybe more than 20. We'll just play it by ear. So we'll come back near the end. All right, pretty sure we're near the end. What I'm going to do, let's just quickly show you. See, these are really soft. Now the reason why I do in these little chunks instead of blitzing all the chili is that it releases, this is just my opinion by the way, releases more flavour from the chili. It's the flavour we're after. But that's after doing this for years and years and years, tried it different ways. Now because this is just about ready, I'm going to let this cool down a fair bit because I don't want to put all this hot liquid into my blender, and there's no need to anyway. We should do a quick taste test. It is yum. You see, it's quite thick. When you actually blend it, it sometimes is thick enough, or too thick, or not quite thick enough. Now, if it's not quite thick enough, after you've blended it, you put it back in the pan and slowly reduce it to the thickness you want. So I'm going to turn this off, let it cool down. And the next time you see me on this, we'll be putting this into a blender. If you're not doing anything at the moment, just go make yourself a cup of tea because it's going to be a while. See you soon. Okay, we've been down the shop. This has been cooling down. It's still a bit warm. Again, I normally do this in a deeper dish, but we'll see how we go. Might be too splashy, if you know what I mean. Oh, if I turn it on, it's going to help. Let's see if we get away with that, make it an almighty mess. super dish. Anyway, I'm going to keep doing this for about 5 minutes, and I'll show you what the end product looks like before we strain it. Not too messy in the pot, so I'm using my crusty, reliable stainless steel mixing bowl. Still be about 3 or 4 minutes. I'll show you a bit more before you get bored. Right, give me another couple of minutes and I'll come back and we'll start straining. All right, all blitzed. And you'll see there's bits of skin in there, but this is where we're going to go now with this. It's another bowl with a sieve. So we'll start putting this in here. The thickness is good. Like I say, it could vary from batch to batch. You may have to, after you've strained it, reduce it some more, but you'll probably see how we actually get all the seeds and all the bits of skin out of here. Just run your ladle over the top of it and keep going until you get as much as you can extract from it. And I'll show you in a sec all the seeds and skins that are left behind. So that's probably it. If you have a look here, you'll see all the seeds. See all that? See all the seeds and skin? Well, they're not going in there, so we'll just have the sauce. Let me keep going and I'll show you near the end. All right, that's all the pulp, all the skin and the seeds. And now it is all strained. What I've done is I've got these bottles I always use. Got a beaut little top you put on it when you're finished, and I reuse them. So I've got 6 I'll put aside. I think there's going to be about 6 bottles, and they're all sterilised, like I say. So now I'm just going to make it easier to pour into those little bottles, I use a little jug. So I put some of this in here. Yes, it's still messy. Well, I'm messy, put it that way. Right, from there, look at that. I'm a messy booger. Just shift this out of the way and show you. Now I just fill up the jar. It's quite a thick sauce actually, I'm quite pleased. Like I say, if it had been a little bit thinner, I'd just put it all back in the big pot and reduced it down and got to the thickness I like, but this one's turned out to the thickness I like. So I'll just finish this one. And I'll probably make a mess. That's just what I do. Why I use this jug, it's just about the right size and contents each of these. So that is what it looks like. What I do is now put on the top, like I say, the jars, the bottles have been sterilised. And that's what we end up with. Chili sauce. Let me finish the rest and see how many I get. Okay, I end up getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 3/4. And I shall get the wife to make some labels up. But that's what we ended up with. Homemade chili sauce. Yum.